The STEM Society.
Welcome back to the STEM Society. My name is Cole Jackson, and this is episode 95, man. I'm glad you guys came back to support the channel. Thank you guys for subbing. We got some extra subs this past week, even though I didn't put out an episode on Wednesday, but y'all still supported, and I appreciate that. If you're a person who enjoys hip-hop commentary, if you enjoy someone comparing music to what's going on in pop culture, or if you enjoy music critiques, this is the channel that you need to be subscribed to. I do all of that on here, and I really enjoy it. This is my job. This is what I do. So make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel. I do have a Patreon where I do more personal stuff. Patreon is more for me to talk about what's happening personally while I'm still living in London. And also it's where I have something called Hip Hop Survival Guide. Hip Hop Survival Guide is what I take a lot of different albums from a lot of different eras, and I put them together for people who want to know more about why they got made and why they are so important to me. And it's really something to get your hip hop collection up. So I have been doing that last year, and I'm actually going to be doing it this year. So starting in April, Hip Hop Survival Guide will be coming back to Patreon only. I was thinking about putting some of the episodes on YouTube, but I have copyrighted music on there, so I don't know how to edit it to where it could still work, because if I don't have the music cues, it ain't gonna work on YouTube. It's like I have to have that music for the videos to work. So if you want to see what I've been doing as far as like side projects, go to my Patreon. It's the STEM Society Patreon. I'll put the link here in the bio. The link is in the bio, and I'll put it up here. I ended up doing 2 new playlists, and I wanted to be able to give you guys what kind of music I listen to. And I also wanted to be able to give you guys some artists you may not have heard before. In the Loop has trap music. It has boom bap, underground, independent artists, a lot of different types of styles of rap in that list. In the Loop is basically music I've listened to. It's going to be updated every month. This first version of it is just the first quarter of 2025 and the music that I've been enjoying and some of my favorite songs. This playlist is also for new artists who haven't really caught a footing somewhere else. I want to be a conduit to be able to give new artists an opportunity to be heard from other people. You can put your link in the comments, and I'll listen to some of your music. And if you want to send it to me direct and kind of have a little conversation about it, you can hit me up on my Instagram. That's at ColeJackson_BYNK. And that way we can, you can send it to me that way and just kind of tell me what type of artist you are and what music you love and so on and so forth. So that's for my US people, for everybody who's on the US side of things. I couldn't do a playlist just for the US. I had to do something for the UK side of things because I am into UK rap. So I did create another playlist. My second playlist is called Off License Flow, which has a different, I curate a lot of different music from grind, from soul, from independent artists, from mainstream bangers, all of that shit. Like that UK side of things is probably going to be your best entryway into listening to UK rap if you're from the States. With the Off License Flow playlist, I'm really learning more about other UK artists outside of like Skepta or Digga D or Gigs or anything like that. So I'm most definitely putting some of the up and coming artists on that list as well. That list will be updated monthly too. Now, this goes for my UK artists as well. If you're a UK artist and you want to send me your music, you can put it in the comments below, or you can actually send it to me via my Instagram. I don't know how many times I got to post it, but my Instagram will be up. And just let me know, man. Shoot me a follow too. Follow me and hit me up and we can have a conversation. I'm really trying to network more here in the UK because I want to be able to go to a lot more of these shows and festivals and see what the new acts are doing. Make sure you guys go check out the playlist. It's on Spotify. I'm pretty sure everybody has Spotify. If I need to make the list for other platforms, let me know in the comments and I'll make arrangements to be able to put the playlist on other platforms. All right. So that's what I've been up to all week. Let's go ahead and get into some news.
Music news.
Rapper Young Scooter out of Atlanta died. He's dead. He died here recently. It's one of the oddest cases of death I've ever heard of in my life. So when it originally was reported, they were saying that young Scooter got killed by the police during a whole situation where they had to show up to a house. Police was called to a house because they heard a gunshot, and apparently a woman got dragged back in through the door. That's what was originally reported. But it looks like young Scooter died running from the police during that situation. He hopped over 2 fences and he broke his leg, and when they took him to the hospital, he died from a broken leg. I'm not making this shit up. That's what I've checked 3 stories, and that's what they all said, that he died from a broken leg running from the police. That's one of the oddest deaths I've ever heard of in my life. Now, people are suspecting that it might be some foul play here. I haven't been able to dig deeper into the story to see what's really going on, but I want to say rest in peace to young Scooter, because I don't want nobody want anybody to die, but good God, man, you died running from the cops off a broken. I didn't know you could die from a broken leg. I didn't know that was a thing. Shit. Rest in peace, young Scooter, man. This is the oddest shit I've ever heard of in my entire life. I'm gonna put a pin in this, and if it's more information to come from this, then I'll make sure I have it on the show. So all this week I have been watching this thing with LeBron and Stephen A. Smith. For people who don't know, Stephen A. Smith criticized LeBron James. LeBron James met him at a Knicks game, talked shit to him, let him know he ain't having it. Stephen A. went on his show, talked shit back, and then, LeBron went on the Pat McAfee show and checked him again, and then we got a retort from Stephen A. Smith, so on and so forth, blah, 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 blah. So instead of me commentating on all of this shit and saying what it is, I sat down and kind of put together something that may surprise y'all. This is basically Kendrick and Drake just in media form. Follow me on this. LeBron James shows up on Pat McAfee's show. Pat McAfee's show is directly after Stephen A's First Take. You know, Stephen A, that's his show. I'm number one for all of this time. But the only person that's challenging Stephen A's ratings is the Pat McAfee show, because he gets all the big time interviews. It was so calculated and timed, it's ridiculous. The smart thing about LeBron pulling a Kendrick move, because this is exactly what he did, it's kind of like how Kendrick dropped Meet the Grams right after Family Matters. Calculated, it was smart, it happened right after the show goes off. And on Pat McAfee's show, which is Stephen A's ops, he makes a statement, like a big statement. And, you know, LeBron got all of his shit off. Like, he talked about the media, he talked about basketball, his legacy, all of that shit. He even had a whole reference to Michael Jordan and him and Michael Jordan not talking to each other. But he got a lot of shit off of his chest. And honestly, that's what Kendrick did when he put out Meet the Grams, kind of going back at Drake from what he said on Family Matters. So Stephen A. and LeBron, this is not the first time they got into it, but when you think about it this way, this is the first time LeBron has publicly spoke out. Now, Stephen A. has been calling LeBron Hollywood. He said he's too focused on his brand over basketball. He says he never talks about social issues, so on and so forth. LeBron rarely claps back. I don't think LeBron even claps back. I don't think he's ever clapped back at Stephen A. before. But Stephen A. has gone at this man more than once. This is not the first time this whole thing has happened. But finally, when like Drake and Kendrick, when they were throwing subs at each other. They have been subbing each other for years. The same way Stephen A. and LeBron James have been subbing each other for years. So it kind of, again, really does mirror the whole Drake-Kendrick beef. This shit is too fucking close for me not to see it like this. And then when you think about everything that he said on Pat McAfee's show, it was very intentional, and he was very detailed or surgical about what he was saying. Just like Kendrick. When Kendrick came back with Meet the Grams, it was very intentional, and he broke down that whole family bit by bit, mom all the way down to the kid, to the imaginary kid at that. It's just too close for me not to see it as the beef. You want more proof? The Pat McAfee element of this whole situation. Think about it like this. We have been told by numerous sources that there was tension between Stephen A. and Pat McAfee. Do y'all remember when Pat McAfee first got to the network and how he was all on the First Take show all the time? Like Stephen A couldn't get enough. Love that nigga. Come on, Pat McAfee, all this other bullshit. Until he found out how much Pat McAfee was making, and we didn't see Pat McAfee on First Take ever again. It kind of reminds me of the tension that we heard between Drake and Future. Remember when Drake and Future used to do collab albums together? They used to make each other songs. They would make music together on a regular basis until we heard about Future being upset with Drake over what? Money, over women, over different things. It was kind of a jealousy thing between these two. Very interesting. But can't y'all see how that mirrors each other? Stephen A beefing with Pat McAfee, Future having a problem with Drake. Next thing you know, Kendrick jumps on a track on Future's new album. He jumps on Like That, which has been out for a year. Jesus, a year. It's been a whole year since Like That dropped. But think about it like this. We didn't even know Kendrick was going to be on there. Nobody knew that LeBron James was showing up to the Pat McAfee show, but he showed up there and it was a platform for him to get his shit off. Just like on Future's album, We Don't Trust You, Like That was the launch pad for Kendrick to get his shit off and start the whole beef. That's what LeBron did. LeBron went on the Ops show. He went on the Ops platform and he said, let me give you my thoughts. I'm about to make this shit uncomfortable for everybody. And that's exactly what he did. Everything that LeBron talked about on the Pat McAfee show made it uncomfortable for a lot of people to talk. Even his homeboy Brian Windhorst. So think about it like this. We know that he said what he had to say because he was protecting the son and he was protecting his family. He said that. But he also said he was protecting the players. And he talked a lot about basketball culture and how the media doesn't really do a good job at talking about it or criticizing it. Like, that's what he said. So I know he said a lot of different media personalities' names. And who's the biggest face of the media personality to talk about basketball? Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith is the face of that shit. He's the motherfucker who always goes in. And it's not always been about basketball. Stephen A. has already admittedly talking about the personal stuff he had with Kyrie Irving. He's went personal with Kevin Durant before. Like, he said different things to go personal. And this is LeBron James taking the Kendrick role and saying, I got to protect the culture because you're not a part of that. You never played not 1 minute of an NBA game, and I've got to protect the culture. You're Drake in this whole situation, my friend. You are the biggest you're the biggest rapper in the world, but you don't love the culture. You don't understand the culture. And I think that's exactly what LeBron James was doing. He was protecting the culture. Think about it. How many times have we sat up here and listened to Stephen A. Smith and said, is he really for basketball culture? I mean, I know he always celebrates players getting paid and he wants people to get their money, but how much of this shit is really him trying to take advantage of what basketball culture is and how much is he getting paid? I mean, when you think about it, he did get he's got the biggest contract out of all the sports media personalities, 5 years, $100 million. Don't you think controversy sells? He's been getting off with saying controversial shit about players for a very long time. So again, it really the way you look at it is I know he's not going to do his job for free, but it ain't like he's really doing this for basketball culture. Again, my comparison to that being Drake. Drake is sitting up here. He got a $500 million deal from UMG, right? The whole thing everybody's been talking about Drake is he's doing it for the money. He's not doing it for the culture. We've questioned Drake's credibility as a hip hop artist for a very long time, which a lot of people question Stephen A. Smith and how he's really doing it for basketball culture. Like, all of this shit really is mirroring each other, and it's funny how people haven't seen it the same way I'm seeing it. But yeah, he ain't doing it because he loves basketball culture for real. This nigga wants to get paid. Stephen A. He has been trying to be the highest paid media personality for some years now. And that's exactly what he got. He just got his bag. No hate. I'm glad you're getting paid off of it. But don't you feel like the type of stuff that he talks about on First Take is more for him getting his bag than him actually talking about what's really going on in basketball, they don't bring up nothing else outside of the Lakers. They never talk about any of the other teams who are doing well. They never talk about players. It's a list of things that he could have been talking about outside of LeBron James and the Lakers and Bronny James, so on and so forth. He said it himself. The Lakers bring ratings. These types of things, that's how TV works. I have to talk about shit that's popular so I can get the ratings and get paid. Drake is the biggest name in rap. Just like Stephen A is the biggest name in sports media or in media right now. Kendrick represents the people. He represents community. He represents perspective as far as the culture. That's what Kendrick does. I would say, in a loose way, LeBron James represents the same thing. He's put in 20 years in the league. He always speaks from a player's point of view. He's the head. He's been the leader of player empowerment, players being able to do what they wanted to do as far as like getting traded or so on. He is the face of all that. He is the face of players having the freedom to do what they need to do. He is the voice of basketball. Whether you love him or hate him, that's what it is. So let's look at another thing that came from a response that Stephen A said. When Stephen A got on ESPN and started talking bad about like what LeBron James wasn't doing, and he was getting shit completely wrong. Remember, he brought up that he wasn't at Kobe Bryant's funeral when everybody on the internet knew that LeBron James was at Kobe's funeral. Kind of like how Drake pulled up the lyrics to Mother I Sober and try to say that that's when Kendrick got molested, even though we all know Mother I Sober wasn't about him getting molested. It was about his mom thinking that something did happen to him. It's all about controlling the narrative. It's all about people trying to get you on their side. I think when Stephen A started pulling out all these stats, he was trying to pull people back on his side. I think when Drake pulled out the Heart Part 6 and started saying all these things about, well, if this didn't happen, why is this? Like, if you didn't beat on your wife, why are you in New York? Or if you didn't do this, why are you here? Or, like it just was like, I'm trying to still control the narrative. And that's what Stephen A. Smith was trying to do. He was still trying to control the narrative. Kendrick and LeBron both made their points without having to yell or go crazy or whatever the case may be. They both did everything very strategically and they did it surgically. I mean, when you think about it, they never really come out here and do Instagram rants or any of that kind of shit. They both made their points without even having to lift a finger. And everybody from the culture listened to it and heard it. And a lot of people agreed with it more than others. I'm just stating what it is. Then when you look at the Stephen A/Drake side of things, they gave you incorrect facts. They made sure that they were loud and boisterous on their bigger platforms. They wanted to make sure that they controlled the narrative so you guys would still love them. And they still did it for more than just the culture. They did it for the money. They did it for them, the selfish. I'm beating my chest. And I'm no disrespect to Stephen A. Smith, but a lot of the things he was doing was very Drake-ish in my eyes. And it just felt like he was pulling a play out of Drake's playbook. But when I seen this whole situation all week with LeBron and Stephen A, it just reminded me of Drake and Kendrick's rap beef. Everybody's coming out with their own opinions. People are really picking sides. People are really having a strong discussion back and forth about this whole thing. I just wanted to look at it from a hip-hop point of view, and I wanted to see if you guys seen it the same way. So you tell me, what do you think? Do you think the Stephen A. Smith versus LeBron James is just a mirror of what happened with Drake and Kendrick, and we're just replaying the whole thing? Or am I completely off? Let me know in the comments. Tell me what you guys think. I would really like to hear how you guys see the whole thing. I don't have anything else. I went really long on this because I just had a full breakdown of all of this stuff that I was thinking. I just looked at it with my hip hop brain and it just kind of made sense to me. Thank you guys for joining me for another episode. Make sure you guys share, subscribe, like, do all of the things. I would really appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys next episode. Peace out.
Thank you for joining the STEM Society.